and welcome to those who are just joining us for these Andy Talks. These are a wonderful opportunity for us to hear from our faculty about what they're up to, staying on top of what they're doing, but also a very good glimpse into the energy research frontier. We've had 3 outstanding talks already, and we're going to continue the streak with Costa Samaras. Costa is Assistant Professor of Civil and Environmental Engineering and Director of the Center for Engineering and Resilience for Climate Adaptation here at Carnegie Mellon. He got a bachelor's degree at Bucknell, a master's in public policy from New York University, and his PhD here at Carnegie Mellon. After several years at the RAND Corporation, he returned here as a faculty member. Professor Samaras. Costa.
Well, thank you, everyone. It's really wonderful to be here at Energy Week. It's really an important event that showcases Carnegie Mellon's ability to do energy research across disciplines. And with that, I'm going to talk about one of our big projects that we just launched this week during Energy Week, the Power Sector Emissions Index. And on behalf of our co-director, Professor Inés Azevedo, and our team that's listed here, I'm going to talk about why this is important. We know that climate change is a challenge, and I want to emphasize that climate change is not just an environmental problem. It's not just a sustainability challenge. It's a challenge that affects everything. It lays out the landscape on which the future unfolds. And so we at Carnegie Mellon need to figure out, along with the scientists, engineers, policymakers, social scientists, decision scientists, and artists around the world, what we're going to do about it. The electricity sector is already pegged as the folks doing the heavy lifting. We need to make sure that that lifting gets done. The good news is that the power sector is changing, and it's changing rapidly. Low natural gas prices have enabled a whole host of new uses and generation. And because coal and natural gas compete directly in the electricity market, coal generation is down and gas generation is up. And since gas has about half the carbon emissions of coal, that's good. In addition, the technical and economic progress of renewables over the last 15 years has simply been amazing. However, we're a long way away from where we need to be, both here in the US and around the world. In the energy world, we are swimming in data. And this is a good problem to have. The challenge is making sense of what that data is telling us, understanding what's useful, and coming to some decision in the near term and the long term, given what we know. And so we want to understand the energy transition. And sometimes energy innovation is about creating something and adding something to the world. We decided on division. We went and grabbed the emissions data from the Environmental Protection Agency, from every unit and facility in the United States, made sure that there were no incorrect or missing values, and then divided that by the amount of electricity generation happening in the United States that's provided by the Department of Energy. And so with this simple division, we're able to understand the carbon intensity of a megawatt hour of electricity. And with that, we're able to report the Power Sector Carbon Index available at emissionsindex.org. And what the index does is allow anyone to track the carbon intensity of electricity on a monthly, on an annually, on a quarterly basis, so that we can measure how we're doing. And we can see that we're happy where we are right now. Since 2005, the emissions intensity of electricity in the United States has gone down by more than 24%. And that's excellent news for the pathway to decarbonization. But the long road ahead to 40 and then 80% is still in front of us. About half of the emissions intensity reduction between 2005 and 2016 is due to the switch from natural gas to coal. To the switch from coal to natural gas. I knew I had the division wrong there. But another 40% is due to the rapid rise in renewables. And renewable generation increased by more than 75% since 2005. Since we're able to report quarterly, we can report today that as of the fourth quarter of last year, the power sector carbon index is 1,001 pound of CO2 per megawatt hour. And that's up by 1% since the previous year's fourth quarter. And so we can understand why it's up. We can dig into the generation data and know carbon intensity of that generation. We can know the shares of the generation, and we can know how things are changing. You can see that gas was second place to coal right about until 2008, 2009 when it started to ramp up. And then as of 2015, it overtook coal in some of the quarters, and then as of 2016, in 3 out of the 4 quarters, it had more gas generation than coal. The reason that the fourth quarter was higher in the carbon index was that fourth quarter had a little bit more coal than gas generation. So we can dig into those numbers and understand how the carbon intensity is changing over time. So who's going to use this? Well, these data were up on the EPA and Department of Energy's website. But getting them, cleaning them, organizing them, and visualizing them is cumbersome. And we hope that we've removed this barrier so that policymakers, industry, academia, and other stakeholders can use an understanding of a changing power sector to make decisions for their businesses, for their municipalities, and for the country. Now, our lead PhD student on this project, Greg Shively, distilled Carnegie Mellon's energy analysis ethos down to 140 characters yesterday. Energy analysis cannot be a black box. And energy analysis has to be open and transparent. So we put all the data and all the code up on the website for anybody to use, remix, and build on. And speaking of collaboration, this project wouldn't happen without the lead of our graduate students and our co-director, Professor Inês Azevedo, and our faculty collaborators, Haipo Zai and Scott Matthews. We are fortunate at Carnegie Mellon to be infused with a culture of collaboration and interdisciplinary work, and without that, we would not be able to produce what we do here. So I leave you with understanding how we've changed in the power sector. And what our power sector carbon index intends to do is help us all measure how far we've come, where we are right now, and where we might be going in the future. And we like to try to do this in real time. But since the EPA only puts their data up every 3 months, we can promise every 3 months, just about it. So we hope that you will join us at emissionsindex.org as we continue this characterization and understanding of the U.S. power sector in a time of transition. We're very, very grateful to the Scott Institute for their support, as well as the support of Mitsubishi Hitachi Power Systems for the vision of creating something new with data that already exists. Thank you.